What does future look like?
What is the next big thing that is going to happen in this space that is going to disrupt what we have not seen?
I think that, and it's not just limited to e-commerce. What's happened over the last few years is that the homegrown brand scene has exploded. And with Instagram coming in, new age women consumers are bombarded with brands.
AI is going to completely transform our online shopping experience.
AI is super powerful, both in terms of reducing the manpower need and also improving efficiency.
How is AI involved in disrupting this space, and what innovation are we seeing in this area?
That now this evolved consumer is much more demanding. Someone to show her the exact 2-3 products that she's going to love, that she has in her mind. No endless scrolling, no endless searches, no comparisons across multiple portals. When we go into a mall, we're not really coming in कि आज मुझे white shoes लेने हैं. Like you're coming in with the concept of let me look at what's new in the mall, and then a store attracts your attention.
If you have to quantify or put a number or potential to this business opportunity, how large is this?
Without focus, you don't stand for anything, and which means nobody remembers you. And so as of this year, our brand is focused on more professional women that are more in the tier 1 and tier 2 market, focused on discovery of fashion.
Hello and welcome to ETAI podcast. I'm your host Radhika, and together we'll explore how AI is reshaping our business and work. Today we have with us Ms. Isha Tiwari, the founder of Furl, a platform that is helping homegrown brands sell faster online by leveraging AI. Having held senior leadership positions at Myntra and Cloud9 and being the founder of Entrepreneur India First, Isha has 2 decades of experience in leveraging technology to deliver consumer-first experiences. A very warm welcome to you, Isha, on ETI podcast. Before we dive in, would you please tell us a little bit about yourself and what inspired you to start up in this space?
Sure. Thank you, Radhika. Thanks for having me. In my 18-year career, I have built a number of 0 to 1 businesses, both in small and large setups. From launching a US med device startup in India to taking Cloud9 healthcare facilities from 1 to 15 across 5 cities as their CMO, to building several businesses in Myntra, and then also investing in 42 startups at a tech VC. I think across my career and somewhere, IIT Kanpur and Harvard Business School along the way, but across my career, I think I fell in love with brands at Myntra. And at the VC, with working with all these small new age startups, I realized the power of what tech can do to transform commerce. I think that's how sort of the idea has germinated. What's happened over the last few years is that the homegrown brand scene has exploded. And with Instagram coming in, new age women consumers are bombarded with brands. They don't know where to go to find high quality brands. That's how Furl was born. Furl is the platform for independent women to discover new age homegrown brands with an AI discovery experience.
Thank you, Isha, for sharing your journey with us. Now, as you shared, and as we all know, that AI is going to completely transform our online shopping experience. All the legs of e-commerce value chain are getting disrupted by AI, whether it is product discovery, checkout, or post-purchase consumer experience. In your opinion, which area out of these is seeing the maximum innovation, and is it really translating into increase in revenue and cost savings?
Absolutely. The entire transactional journey. I think e-commerce is one of the core industries that is seeing a massive overhaul because of AI. I mean, you start from the silent background processes such as tagging, category mapping, collection curation, all across. AI is super powerful, both in terms of reducing the manpower need and also improving efficiencies. Then you look at the entire front-end transactional journey. Start from search. You've got models from Perplexity that are now automating image search. You've got Google virtual try-ons. Across the board, checkout getting better with more efficient customer profiling. If you're an e-commerce startup or a company, even a larger one, and you don't have AI embedded across your entire transactional journey, you're going to be left behind pretty soon.
Very nice. So, Isha, tell me, your brand is more about product discovery from what I understood. Let's dive a little deeper into what is happening in the space of product discovery and how is AI involved in disrupting this space, and what innovation are we seeing in this area?
Yeah. So, given that the entire transactional journey in e-commerce is getting commoditized, now the magic lies in discovery. So, the players and the winners of the future in this industry are going to be the ones that solve for the right discovery for the consumer in the shortest amount of time. What I mean is that now this evolved consumer is much more demanding. What she needs is someone to show her the exact two, three products that she's going to love, that she has in her mind, but also in the shortest amount of time. No endless scrolling, no endless searches, no comparisons across multiple portals, right? Now, compare this just to explain what I do, right? Compare this to when someone walks into a mall, right? When we go into a mall, we're not really coming in कि आज मुझे white shoes लेने हैं. Like you're coming in with the concept of let me look at what's new in the mall, and then a store attracts your attention, and you go into the store, and then the assistant comes over, and then she asks you, "Ma'am, what can I show you today?" And you start browsing something, and she said, "Hey, I think you're liking these kinds of kurta sets. Let me show you two more that have just come." And this assistant is constantly understanding your taste and constantly showing you two or three that you're going to love in your size based on what you're wearing. Now imagine all of that online, right? Where the idea is that you constantly have someone silent by your side who's only showing you the stuff based on what you've bought in the past and based on what you're going to like. So it's a completely assisted and highly personalized journey. This is what discovery of the future is going to be, and this is going to become the expectation from the consumer.
Interesting. So I have two follow-up questions on that. So one, this is transforming the online shopping experience for people, right? Will some of this be carried on to offline space as well? And second, I also want you to take us through how the product works from a brand's perspective, from a B2B brand which is onboarding on your platform.
Sure. So on your first question, absolutely. I think online offline worlds with a lot of this omni-channel brand presence are already converging, and a lot of this will go offline as well, right? Because it's the same consumer. Her expectations have just now crossed the bar, right? So when you walk into a store, you will be expected to have gadgets and support assistants which help the consumer with quick identification of products, quick size identification, and also in terms of other elements such as color, sizing, etc. Right? All of this, I think it's very easy to see how quickly some of this will translate to the offline world as well. Not your second question, is that around Furl and how that's helping the brands?
No, how is your product stacked up, right? How are the brands able to onboard,
Yeah,
and how is it helping in their sales?
absolutely. So, see, Furl is focused purely on homegrown D2C brands. Now, what that means, most of these brands are run by independent individuals. They are very small teams. Don't get me wrong; they're highly professional, right? Most of my brand founders are ex-bankers or consultants or diff designers. That's the beauty of the market that we're seeing today, where professionals are actually choosing to become designers and brand founders because it's so easy to proliferate across the country, right? Instagram allows you to reach consumers, even though it's very hard for consumers to find you in that way, which is why Fold exists. But for these brands, you have to understand their setup. They are, small teams. They don't hold a lot of inventory. They design all their stuff in-house. Most of them also have in-house or strongly affiliated manufacturing, and they make to order very quickly, right? And so what Furl does is actually builds on all of this and is able to supplement all the stuff that these brands need. So I'll help you understand. Typical marketplace takes about 3 months for a brand to onboard. It takes high effort, daily inventory uploads, daily cataloging, any new collections that are launched. It's set up in a way that new launches happen only in season, in once in 6 months. That's not how new brands work. They launch every week, new styles every week, right? So what Furl does is it's a 30-minute onboarding. So brands just install our Shopify app and within 30 minutes they go live. Of course, we have done all our quality checking and vetting before that. Then after they're onboarded, it's plug and play. It's a direct sync of their styles, their inventory, their catalog, their pricing, and then Furl's AI engine goes to work It cleans up everything, it manages all the images, it creates AI integrated looks, which we'll talk about more further. And all of the changes get taken care of in real time. So for brands, actually, what it means is right from attracting the right customer to managing the discovery of their products to then managing the order systems to then also delivering, right? All of this gets taken care of, which is why the brand platform for Pearl is very sticky with these B2B brands.
So you guys manage the end-to-end delivery of the product as well.
Everything.
And you have integrated with the marketplaces
Yeah.
like Shopify, etc.
Logistics providers, yes.
Logistics is also managed by you. So interesting. So let's talk a little bit about technology. What are the base models you use and how big is your team? And how much time did you take to get the product up and running?
Let me explain the product to you first, right? So the main thing about Furl is that the entire discovery has been rethought. And that is also the most unique thing about the experience. So Furl is a looks first discovery platform. What that means is that when consumers come to Furl, they see a feed of looks, complete outfits. So not a top, not a trouser, right? It's a complete outfit for brunch, for work, everyday lounging, now festive, for weddings. And this has come from our deep consumer insight that that is how consumers are now looking, right? They're not going, today I want to buy a red top. They're thinking, I want to buy something for my husband's 40th. I have, lunch, brunch with my girls coming up. I want something flowy for that. I have big meetings at work. How do I rejig my work wardrobe? So they're looking for complete outfits. Now, this has been going on for a few years because it's a massive manual process, right? That is the piece that we have unlocked with our AI engine. Our 3 LLM model is now able to produce complete outfits. So if you give it one product, it's able to suggest all the other products that will go to bring a cohesive look together for a particular vibe. So if you gave it a white t-shirt, it's able to tell you for how should you style it for a resort, how should you style it for work, how should you style it for brunch with the complete look. And now these looks are being produced at scale by AI and getting personalized to the user as she's browsing. So as you're browsing, Radhika, if you're clicking on more looks that are fusion Indian looks, you'll keep seeing more and more of that. And if I am clicking more on looks which are very kurta and very Indian and desi, I'll keep seeing more and more of that. So in terms of the tech that's sort of powering this, we have a 3 LLM model that we sort of built that's able to take, first of all, understand aesthetic, which is non-trivial, right? What works with what for what occasion, and that's been trained on 2 years of our vibe data. It's also able to then add on CTR data. So what are products that are doing well? So it's able to pull in the right kind of products for it. So that is sort of one piece of the puzzle. And then the second piece of the puzzle is bringing this look to life. So for the longest time, we struggled with, hey, we understood what products go together, but how do we help the customer visualize this? And what we've now been able to do with all of the new AI breakthroughs in the world is actually bring the image of all these products together on a model that sort of works for Indian sensibilities and the occasion. So if it's an everyday look, the model standing in front of a busy market wearing all the 4 items. If it's a party, she's standing in in a busy, discotheque wearing all of the items and having a good time. And I'll be honest with you, it is so fun playing around with all the latest AI innovation. So the models we're using, I can share that as well. We use a lot of OpenAI at the back end for look generation. We've experimented with Anthropic and a bunch of others, but have settled on OpenAI. On the image generation, which is bringing the look to life, that is really, really exciting. I think the way AI models are growing and changing, that's breakneck speed. So we started a lot with OpenAI, we moved to Sora, and we're now on Nano Banana. And to be honest, a large part of what the team does is constantly experiment with what's new, what's on the horizon. And it's also sort of the strength of a startup, right? We're able to stay nimble and bring all of these to life within days.
Sure. So you mentioned something about vibe data, right? How so like a lot of AI uh, work and models are built on certain data that is available, publicly available, but yours is more of a vibe data. How did you collect that data, and how did that, I mean, how did you build on top of the existing models using this data?
A lot of what we're doing is driven by consumer research. And I think that's allowing us to use AI in the right way, right? Instead of just building a lot of tech because there's so much AI available, I think we're able to sort of, and of course, it's a constant learning journey, we're still learning. But the idea that consumers today are changing, they're moving from search to discovery. They're not searching for product, they want to discover looks. Now, what does discovering looks mean, right? So we had to go deeper into that to understand that the consumer's mindset is she has a certain mood, a certain occasion, etc. in mind when she wants to discover outfits for that. That is what we translated into the concept of vibes. So, these are hashtags. It's an Instagram consumer. She's able to easily relate to that. So, a vibe would be anything like hashtag Desi Girl, hashtag Classy Affair, hashtag Brunch Culture, and hashtag Comfort Cottons. And so this vibe actually captures something non tangible about the consumer's intent. And that's why it's something so unique to the platform, right? Where it's not about searching by color or size or category. It's capturing the consumer's intent in terms of a vibe. And now this allows you to classify brands, products, all of our, 40,000 plus products, more than 250 brands on the platform are all classified by vibes. This becomes an intangible input to our models because it's not something that's available, it's not been measured across the board, right? So globally, brands have tried to do it in different ways. But I think this is one of the areas where India is moving as fast, if not faster, than other countries. Right? All of this innovation is now publicly available across the board. So Indian companies actually have an opportunity to build something global before anyone else.
Understood. Very interesting. Now, it's a very small question before I ask a bigger question. So, did your data collection happen through Instagram? So these vibes or hashtags that you mentioned, they are available on Instagram for companies to use it?
No, this is all full proprietary. So we've now been having consumer behavior on the platform for about 2 years. And so it's based on, and these are actually vibe graphs. So it is actually fairly complicated model that runs at the foundation where we have different hashtags related to each other. And we're able to get the data around which ones consumers are clicking on, which ones are they most likely to click on, what the profile or vibe affinity of a customer looks like. So we do a lot of customer profiling based on their behavior on Pearl.
Very interesting. So, Isha, AI is evolving so fast. Whatever is innovative today will become hygiene tomorrow, right? And it is not over a period of years. It is over a period of months. Not that it was not there before AI, but AI has escalated the pace and made it accessible to non-techies also because it is simpler to build. And today, even large brands, all marketplaces, all e-commerce platforms are investing heavily on AI. The hashtags that you mentioned, that is the vibe data. I mean, these platforms are so large; they have abundant data, right? In such a scenario, how can a small brand which is trying to build something differentiate itself from these large brands and still maintain some innovation?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Of course, something we think about a lot. I think that, Radhika, we are genuinely at a cusp time in industry, right? I would venture enough to say that after 15 years of commerce, it's the first time that consumer behavior is fundamentally changing, right? And we're going to, 2 years hence, going to be looking back at this time and say, hey, that's when everything changed. And, it's these massive points of change that actually give opportunity to new innovative players to actually not just survive but thrive and do way better than incumbents. This is what, the theory of disruption by Clay Christensen talks about. You talk about any industry, think about when digital cameras were all the rage and then smartphones happened, right? So any industry where there's a certain way that large players or incumbents have been doing business. So you look at all the marketplaces, they are all built around larger brands. They are built around search-led commerce, right? 60 to 70% of revenue of any large marketplace today comes from the search bar, because you're based on the consumer behavior that she knows what she wants. She's just going to type it in, see the best options, compare price across platforms, and get it for convenience. But today, that consumer is changing, right? She's coming because she wants to discover. She still does her basic search led, base shopping. But on a daily basis, now the consumer wants to discover. Her behavior has changed. And to address such a massively changing consumer behavior and changing consumer market, your supply has gone from concentrated big brands to complete proliferated tail brand. With such massive changes, you need massively new experiences. Your UI UX, so your platform has to change into discovery led platform. It's always hard for an incumbent to do that because you can't give up existing business for the future potential of business. That's why a new startup, which has less to lose, I don't have a very massive baggage. So the kind of experiments we're able to do, right? And for example, what I was talking about, we had a certain way of creating our look images, which is completely core to our product. Nano Banana came out. Two of us sat down, experimented, said, look, this is way better. We need to take the risk even before it's completely, proven out. And within 3 days, our entire platform looks moved from Sora to Nano Banana. Can you imagine that happening on a large platform? I mean, I've been at Mitra and, I love Mitra to bits, but I know something like this would take months, if not longer, because obviously you need to, look at the impact of it. It's a huge potential business risk. So the point I'm making, it's a small point, right? That when you're sitting at such a massive time of innovation, smaller companies that are much closer to consumer and much more nimble have an advantage, a very large advantage, that they can experiment and they can move fast. And I think a time of change like this needs that.
I agree. But, one big thing, while your platform has a lot of innovation and it is easier to onboard brands, smaller brands, which would take 3 months to upload on a platform like Myntra, and then they would be hidden behind heaps of other brands that are already there. But if you have to quantify, I mean, as a founder, also you would have thought about before getting into this space, how big is this opportunity? I mean, these are innovations which, again, as I said, larger brands can do, but yes, you're right that there is a lot of process they have to follow, etc. But if you have to quantify or put a number or potential to this business opportunity, how large is this for innovators like you?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's focus on specifics, right? Of course, everyone knows e-commerce in itself is a very large growing market. D2C brand business in itself is a $100 billion market in the next 3 years. We know that as well. But D2C means many things. It means FMCG, it means coffee, it means all of that, right? So if you focus that on fashion, that in itself is a $46 billion market. But even that in our mind is not the core of what we are looking at, right? So one of the things, Radhika, that we didn't speak about is our focus on professional women at tier one and tier two markets. So, we used to be a one size fits all. Anybody who wants homegrown brands come to Pearl. But we realized that, as a early stage startup, focus is very important. And without focus, you don't stand for anything, and which means nobody remembers you. And so as of this year, our brand is focused on, more professional women that are more in the tier one and tier two markets. And as we've done that, we've realized it's the most under addressed segment. This is the fastest growing market. We're talking about um, more than 50 million professional women across tier one and tier two. So, doctors, marketing professionals, software engineers, all across the board over the next 3 years. And that totals up to a $15 billion market in the next 3 years. So, it's a very, very sizable market, growing at breakneck speed, focused on discovery of fashion. So, even if we, chip away all the layers of the onion, we're really talking about a fast growing consumer in India alone. Now, I do want to mention there's a very lucrative global market here. When you start doing an asset light AI first play like Pearl, you're looking at a much larger market beyond India. So that's why I think it's exciting.
So tell me, you are a techie and you understand fashion. What is the future of this space in next 3 to 5 years, and what are the products that would come? Something which we have not seen so far. Like we've been seeing some innovation in virtual try-ons, product discovery, recommendation engines have been there for quite some time, but they're evolving. Every few months they evolve. What is the next big thing that is going to happen in this space that is going to disrupt and what we have not seen before?
First of all, Radhika, I haven't been called a techie in a long time. Thank you for that. that always was good. I've forgotten my roots, even though I'm sitting in building product. What does future look like? I think that, and it's not just limited to e-commerce. I think we've all heard of agents quite a bit, but I think very soon, and this is probably not even a couple of years away, we're going to be talking about vertical personalized agents sitting on everybody's device. So, what that means is you can expect that there's going to be a commerce assistant for Isha on her phone. And before I have to do anything, that assistant is able to identify the mood. It knows all my history. It knows when I order. So it knows that at 9 p.m., Isha's done with dinner. She settles down. She's in a horizontal position. This is when she's likely to look for, browse for discovery. The agent is able to suggest the right stuff based on all the activity I did during the day. And it's able to manage, it's a concierge, it's able to manage end to end.
Wonderful. And I think that's not too far away in future.
It's not too far.
Thank you so much, Isha, for joining us today. We really got a lot of understanding about this space. And with this, we wrap up our conversation. Stay tuned with us at ET AI Podcast to learn more about the business of AI and how AI is reshaping our business and work. Bye bye. Have a nice day.